Continuing from the previous episode 2070. The latest website. With the opening of Yao Xuanyi and the silence of the high-level Yao clan, the entire altar mountain was silent and deadly quiet. It seemed that Yao Xuanyi's words had some kind of special magic power, which attracted countless people's attention. Staring closely at Xiao Yan, he lost his voice. I'm afraid this son is very human. In an instant, the old man who led the team of the 5 ancient clans and the countless powerhouses behind him guessed Xiao Yan's true identity and muttered in a low voice. To be able to make the head of the Yao family look so solemn, I am afraid that this guy named Xiao Yan is definitely not an ordinary person, but they have never heard of this name. Okay, this is just a small episode in the first round of the ceremony, it doesn't hurt. Xuanyi, prepare for the second round. After a few breaths, Yao Wanwan smiled warmly and said, as the leader of the clan, he naturally has his pride and calmness. With Yao Wanwan's powerful exit, the altar mountain suddenly became noisy again, but those alchemists who successfully passed the first round of tests were extremely aggrieved. Does this Xiao Yan seem too perverted? Just the means of breaking the soul stone apart in the end, can't help their scalps go numb? Such a terrifying guy is actually just a 6th grade alchemist of the immortal rank? This discourse is obviously extremely credible. His soul power, as Elder Xuanyi said, has reached that level? Yao Yichen had already regarded Xiao Yan as a thorn in his eyes at this time, and couldn't help but whisper. That realm is the threshold of stepping into the holy rank pharmacist. He has been searching for it for decades and can't covet it. When he heard Yao Xuanyi's voice confirming, he was naturally angry. It shouldn't be wrong, but this guy's soul power is tyrannical, but I don't think his medicine refining skills are as tyrannical as soul power, so we must show 12 points of spirit if we want to win next. Yao Yixuan said softly, with the existence of these guys, this time the grand ceremony will only become lively. Yao Yixuan nodded, and did not dare to underestimate Xiao Yan, but the madness that became stronger and stronger merged. Being able to step on Xiao Yan, then the title of the #1 alchemist in this continent is undoubtedly the most authoritative. And, after a while, although the shock caused by Xiao Yan had not dissipated, the grand ceremony was just around the corner, and many contestants were eagerly looking forward to it. So it is. Xiao Yan stood quietly on the square in front of him, feeling Zunar's soul transmission, and knowing what had just happened, he couldn't help laughing. Hey, I can't see that your soul power has become so perverted, it really is hidden. But why are you still laughing now? Look at them. Ling Zixi poured a basin of cold water over it. It's alright, it's just isolation. By the way, aren't you afraid of being isolated? Xiao Yan said indifferently, after all, this is not the first time that such a thing has happened. Even if he is isolated and excluded, he will still achieve the final dawn, and these days of pride prove. Except for the ambitious main battle factions among the ancient races, the rest of us all came here with an attitude of giving it a try, so to me, the grand ceremony is not important. The important thing is you. Ling Zixi smiled, with a deep meaning in her voice. Boring. Xiao Yan was too lazy to talk to this girl. This girl was mysterious and difficult to deal with. After the first round of small trials, I believe everyone is looking forward to the second round of our Medicine Clan Festival. This second round is a bit funny, because the second round is to select prescriptions, enter the medicine valley of our medicine world to search for the medicinal materials needed for refining, and pave the way for the next third round of refining medicine pills. I have to say, Medicine Valley is the production place of countless precious medicinal materials for our medicine family, and there are countless mysterious treasures and great opportunities. If all the contestants have a fate with certain treasures, let's have that ambition for the time being. You can take it as much as possible. Our medicine the clan will definitely not intervene. But there are many tyrannical monsters guarding the Medicine Valley. All of you must be careful. Baby is good, but you have to live to enjoy it. In the second round of competition, all the prescriptions will be provided by our medicine family. You cannot use your own prescriptions. In the third round after entering the medicine tower to select prescriptions, the time is limited for 1 month. Those who do not collect all the prescriptions and the medicinal pills within 1 month will be eliminated. A month later, the third round of the competition will be held in Medicine Valley, and at the end, I muttered that the second round of competition is closely related to the third round of competition, so don't take it lightly. What else do you guys don't understand? Yao Xuanyi said incessantly, his voice was quite loud, and told the rules to the many strong people present. Can't use your own prescription? Xiao Yan couldn't help but be surprised by this rule. This is to ensure the fairness of the assessment by the medicine family. The prescriptions are mainly supplied by them. Even if it is the same prescription, there must be some deviations in the refining of different pharmacists, so it is very good to distinguish their refining techniques. Ling Zixi explained. So that's the case. Xiao Yan nodded slightly when he heard the words. The prescription was provided by the medicine clan, but it solved a big problem for him. Otherwise, there would be almost no prescriptions of the same level in Xiao Yan's hands for such a grand event. I understand. Thousands of refining pharmacists also responded to Yao Xuanyi happily, and the heat in their eyes could no longer be contained. The power of the soul is tyrannical. It does not mean that it must be a pharmacist with superb refining skills, but a pharmacist with superb refining skills must be a strong person with a terrifying soul power. The two are not opposite, but they are. There is a rather delicate relationship. At this moment, countless people were looking at Xiao Yan, and they released an aura of unyielding comparisons. They seemed to want to prove themselves just like Xiao Yan. This second round seems to be simple, but in fact it has hidden murderous intentions. Xiao Yan shook his hand and said with a smile, the so-called Medicine Valley is probably the real highlight of this grand ceremony, but Xiao Yan has many means now, so naturally he is not afraid. There are even some expectations, quietly waiting for the opening of the second round. Call the Medicine Pagoda. After a while, Yao Xuanyi looked at the back of the altar mountain, and suddenly a group of medicine guards dressed in silver armor appeared in an orderly manner, and their hands were devoutly carrying one after another beautifully. The scrolls, the exquisite scrolls poured out countless energy, and slowly outlined a giant tower to the sky at the feet of everyone. That is the medicine tower, and it is also the second round of competition, where the prescription is selected. The prescription is taken by yourself comes from the medicine tower in front of you. The prescriptions in it cover all the levels of alchemists you are present. You can choose which roll of prescriptions to choose, you can do it yourself, but you don't need to. The heart is higher than the sky. If you choose a rank that exceeds your own load, I am afraid that you will embarrass yourself in vain. You have a stick of incense to choose a prescription, and the contestants who have enough time to choose a stick of incense will get a roll at random, but at that time, they can only pray by themselves. Yao Xuanyi said, when you're ready, let's start. As soon as the voice fell, thousands of people around them like a black and turbulent river, directly strung into the medicine tower, and began their second round, looking for a prescription. Although this medicine tower was constructed by the medicine clan with energy, and the medicinal herbs in it are also replicas, it is difficult to measure the huge skill of the medicine clan. Xiao Yan stepped out and turned into a stream of light and poured into the medicine tower. Among dong dong dong. In the medicine tower, a bell rang slowly, the tower door slowly opened, the bell sounded long and loud, making everyone's minds shocked, and immediately, the abundant fragrant aroma swept out. Full book. Continuing from the previous episode 2071. Latest website. On the altar mountain, there is an ancient medicine tower bathed in countless golden threads. The overall shape is like a giant tower that reaches the sky, reaching a height of several hundred meters. The glittering is quite dazzling, but there is another mystery inside, which cannot be seen. At this time, thousands of refining pharmacists have filed in the inside of the medicine tower. Naturally, the strong outsiders cannot spy on the mysteries, so they can only sit quietly on the altar mountain and wait. On the seats of the ancient 5 clans and some powerhouses, the corners of the mouths of those old guys all showed a dangerous arc. Obviously, the name of Xiao Yan has been lingering in their hearts. If this guy has no support, then after this grand ceremony, no matter what you say, it will be broken here, but if there is a huge backer behind him, I am afraid it will be another story. I hope you don't have any malicious intentions. Zuner obviously noticed the bad eyes in the eyes of the old people around, but she ignored it, looking forward to it, and after a while, she closed and sat up quietly, waiting for Xiao Inflammation. For the ancients, even after the fierce battle at the level of the alien race just now, its strength and vitality have not been lost much, and it is still enough to compete with all the strong sects here, even if it is tyrannical. Like the medicine clan, the ancient clan's strength is comparable to them. This is the true heritage of the ancient clan, in the medicine tower. As soon as he stepped into this place, he suddenly watched hundreds of silhouettes go towards the upper floor of the medicine tower without stopping, but Xiao Yan did not act rashly. The whole person actually became extremely light, standing here like a feather. Xiao Yan's soul is extremely powerful. He just stepped into this place and he naturally noticed that there are 5 levels of the medicine tower. Except for the 4th level, there are some medicines at the 7th grade of the immortal rank, and only the last level has a terrifying power to attract. With Xiao Yan vaguely felt that the 5th floor was probably the real highlight of the medicine tower, and the 5th floor of the 5-story medicine tower was guarded by an extremely thick force. I have reached the soul power of Yuan realm, so I want to give it a try. This guy is actually sensing the structure in the depths of the medicine tower? The elders of many high-level medicine clan leaders on the altar mountain couldn't help but muttered when they saw Xiao Yan's actions. Although the medicine tower in front of it is only an energy tower built at 0 time, it also has 5 layers. Each layer is filled with dozens of medicinal herbs, and each step across one layer goes to the next layer. The level of difficulty is outrageous. This kid is really good. At this moment, Yao Wan, who was always quiet, finally decided something and said to Yao Xuanyi, who was beside him, "Soul power can only be qualified to condense the spiritual palace after stepping into the fairyland. After condensing the spiritual palace, the number of layers of the spiritual palace determines the limit of its soul power in the future, and then it is Taishu, Huayuan, Shenyu before, middle and late stage, 3. The realm of the 9th level. Undoubtedly, according to Xiao Yan's breaking through the soul stone just now, coupled with such a sharp method, Yao Wan has confirmed that Xiao Yan's soul power has stepped into the Yuan realm. Huayuanjing, so at least it means that Xiao Yan's spiritual palace has ignited the 4th floor? And the spiritual palace built by it is at least 5 layers or even higher. You must know that the patriarch of the dignified medicine clan only built the 8-story spiritual palace, and now Fang has only ignited the 5th-story spiritual palace, reaching the peak of the middle period of Huayuan. The ordinary guy in front of him is only a little bit away from him. Gulu. The corners of Yao Wan's mouth became dry, and an extremely unspeakable horror emerged in his heart. He had exhausted countless resources of the medicine clan, and it was almost 1,000 years before he paved the way for Yuan transformation. How did Xiao Yan cultivate? Dangtang is only 100 years old, so he has the soul power of Huayuan level? How is this possible? At the entrance of the medicine tower, the entrant looked at Xiao Yan's bizarre behavior. Although he was puzzled, he did not waste too much time on him. For this abnormal state, it only lasted for a few minutes, and a surging the power of the soul is like a tsunami wave, which is released from Xiao Yan, facing the core of the medicine tower, and sweeping away the 5th floor. Boom! An indescribable coercion of the soul made many pharmacists who had been scattered on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floors of the medicine tower kneel down without any hesitation, without any resistance in their hearts. Force. What a terrifying coercion of the soul. Where is this guy's sacred? At this moment, the countless alchemists who were quietly kneeling couldn't help but wonder in their hearts. If it was a coincidence that Xiao Yan won the 1st place in the 1st round of the soul test just now, could it be that now, countless rumors are self-defeating? Ho. Just when these guys were afraid, a soft halo emerged on the 5th floor of the medicine tower. It was like an ancient ripple, forming a silver soul on the top of the medicine tower. In the storm, a silver dragon was looming. Its huge dragon eyes flashed with a rather bloodthirsty gloomy aura, staring at Xiao Yan, and the endless killing intent was venting. And just when this silver dragon was formed, a coercion from heaven and earth descended, making the bodies of countless strong people present involuntarily tense up, and the space in the medicine tower slowly became distorted and uneasy. It seems that it is the real master of the medicine tower. Once any strong person tries to covet the medicine in the 5th floor, it will kill it mercilessly. Good guy, the ambition is not small. I actually want to think of this recipe. At this moment, Yao Yichen, who was on the 4th floor, snorted coldly and stood up against the incomparable pressure of his soul. His eyes kept on the silver dragon and Xiao Yan. Rotate back and forth. Brother Yao, what exactly is the prescription on the 5th floor? Hearing Yao Yichen's voice, Shi Wushuang and the others from the surrounding stone clan couldn't help but ask. The prescriptions stored in the 4th floor of the medicine tower have reached the 7th grade earth level of the immortal rank. the peak level of the heavenly rank, and the 5th floor, which is deeper, I am afraid. On the 5th floor, there is only one volume of quasi-sage level prescriptions, and no one can obtain it after hundreds of grand ceremonies. Although Yao Yichen didn't want to admit it, Yao Yichen could only slowly shake his head, and then confided softly, the voice there was a faint trace of envy in it. Even with his soul at the peak of the void realm, he couldn't have enough courage to touch the quasi-sacred prescription. If you want to refine a holy pill, half-step or quasi-metamorphic soul power is the minimum standard. If you don't reach it, you will just kill yourself if you do it rashly. Bloody lesson. This guy, are you really not afraid of killing himself? Shen Hong roared, his eyes were scarlet, and he was dissatisfied with Xiao Yan's attention to the entire ceremony. Hee, there are some people in UU reading link to www.ucanshu.com. Don't say some slander here. If you are not afraid, go ahead and compete with the Silver Dragon, the guardian of the 5th floor. As long as you can defeat the Silver Dragon, I am afraid you have already won. Half of the test. If you don't have that ability, you'd better keep your mouth shut. Ling Zixi said mercilessly. With the protection of the Spirit Clan, she was naturally not afraid of Shui sect, and from the beginning, everyone can you sense that Ling Zixi seems to be helping Xiao Yan? What if he succeeded in obtaining that volume of the only quasi-sacred prescription? Isn't it so easy to obtain quasi-holy prescriptions? And whether he can collect all the medicinal materials in the Medicine Valley and whether he can successfully refine it is also unknown. Let's see. As soon as the voice fell, the depression caused by the pressure of the soul slowly disappeared, and Xiao Yan's body was also pulled by the Silver Dragon, and it fell into the 5th floor of the Medicine Tower. No one knew Xiao Yan's life and death, but from the 5th floor of the Medicine Tower, violent ripples of soul energy were heard from time to time, indicating that Xiao Yan and the Silver Dragon were indistinguishable. Continuing from the previous episode 2072. The latest website, the time of a stick of incense slowly passes like a white horse passing through a gap. There is still about a few minutes left, and the Medicine Tower will be completely closed, and the alchemist who has not selected the prescription will be assigned a prescription immediately. Come out. A stick of incense has burned to the end. During this period, thousands of people, except for a very few strong people, almost 90% of the strong people have successfully obtained a prescription that matches their rank, and everything is just waiting for the incense stick to disperse. Finally, the 3rd round is officially opened. Although some alchemists have only obtained the 6th grade immortal or even the 7th grade Zon grade prescription, as long as they are steady, refining the pills successfully, and the power of the pills they draw is strong enough, they still have the qualifications to win. On the contrary, those who choose the sons of the ancient races who are the 7th grade pinnacle level prescriptions of the immortal rank have a lot of challenges. After all, a medicinal pill of that level can easily be ruined and killed if one loses his mind. This guy, why hasn't he come out yet? Ling Zixi stood quietly beside Zuner. The two daughters now have a good friendship, and after some understanding, Zuner also knew that the Ling family once had a relationship with the Xiao family. The relationship is quite close, so Ling Zixi's actions are also a trace of repayment. After all, his teacher and even the entire Spirit Clan have received great favors from the Xiao clan. Boom! Just as countless experts were waiting anxiously, the entire Medicine Tower shook uncontrollably. The ground shook, and countless soul powers were suddenly vented from the Medicine Tower, like an unstoppable volcanic lava that was about to erupt. What's going on? Looking at this scene, Yao Xuanyi's eyes suddenly jumped, and a bad premonition emerged immediately. Wang hum! Suddenly, a burst of invisible soul storms, like energy ripples, suddenly burst out from the inside of the Medicine Tower. The fluctuation of soul power instantly changed the expressions of countless people. This level of soul power seems to be in harmony with medicine. Patriarch Yao Wan is generally tyrannical, right? Soul Seal. Seeing this, Yao Wan waved his hand to the restless high-level executives behind him. Immediately, he waved another big hand, and a more surging soul force emerged, easily destroying that soul storm. The always arrogant patriarch of the Medicine Clan now had a look of indescribable surprise in his eyes. Facing Xiao Yan, this mysterious fellow, he was so arrogant that he looked away several times in a row, and couldn't help but smile for a while. If this guy can really refine a quasi-sacred pill, I am afraid that in the future, the holy level will not be the end of his refining journey. Unlimited future potential. Aren't you late? Just as the soul storm was destroyed, Xiao Yan's figure exited directly from the medicine tower. He looked at the silent leaders of many forces around him and asked quietly. This way of welcoming seems a little too special. He really got that volume of the only quasi-sacred prescription? And when Xiao Yan's figure poured into everyone's attention, some of the participating alchemists couldn't help but whisper. Xiao Yan stood proudly, and a silver scroll appeared on the palm of his hand, which revealed the ancient atmosphere of endless vicissitudes. Pressing, it is enough to grind them into powder. Humph, some people don't want to be higher than the sky, but they end up supporting themselves to death. The old monster Shen Shi said with a gloomy face, obviously quite impatient with Xiao Yan's appearance. Haha, little baby, rashly showing off, but it will ruin your life. Ancestor Yanyan nodded at old monster Shen Shi, and they both sneered at the same time. Thanks to the two seniors for their advice. But this is a grand ceremony for pharmacists, not some cats and dogs of pharmacists. It's better to shut up. If you want to say this to me, you should show enough strength, otherwise it's just a joke. Xiao Yan turned around smartly, his eyes fixed on Yao Xuanyi at the same time. His arrogant voice was hard to hide. Boy, do you know who you're talking to? Do you believe me? Hearing Xiao Yan's arrogant words, Yan Yan ancestor and Shen Shi got up at the same time. Staring at Xiao Yan, it seemed that the next thought, Xiao Yan would be killed by the two of them. What the two of you are doing is not what your elders did. If you want to play, Zuner can accompany you. Seeing this, Zuner smiled sweetly. The golden flames behind him showed endless splendor, like a divine universe emerging behind him. For a while, the power of the two old guys was actually suppressed. Okay everyone, now is the big day of my medicine clan's grand ceremony, so let's put the fire away. Xuanyi, since all the contestants have successfully obtained the prescription, let's start the final ceremony. Every time a grand ceremony, this third round is the most exciting and the most eye-catching. Just when the three were evenly matched, Yao Wanwan smiled slowly, and the soft laughter instantly made the horror brought by the three. The coercion is completely eliminated. With Yao Wan's opening, the three of them suddenly calmed down, but everyone with discernment knows that these guys will inevitably have a battle soon. The last item of the Medicine Clan Festival is also the real highlight of the festival. As we all know, we have done so much just to prepare for the last level. After all, the most basic thing for a pharmacist is to refine medicine pills. In the last round, you will be sent to the Medicine Valley together. You have 1 month to collect the medicinal materials according to the prescriptions you have obtained in your hands. Those who have not collected all the medicinal materials in 1 month will fail. After collecting the medicinal materials, you can start refining pills. Medicine, but remember, once others start refining medicine pills, they cannot take the initiative to attack others, otherwise they will be forced out of the game, and there is no time limit for refining medicine pills. The final champion wins with the highest quality refining pill. However, in order to implement the rules of our medicine clan, the champion who finally wins must accept the challenges of many experts in this assessment. If the challenger beats the champion is displaced. And in the end, Fang is the #1 pharmacist in the mainland for nearly 100 years. Yao Xuanyi said calmly, but at the end, his voice became hot. Is there anything else you don't understand? After a while, seeing the nodding of the surrounding powerhouses, Yao Xuanyi immediately asked. Got it, let's get started. One after another fiery voices continued to emerge, and the entire altar mountain suddenly became surging. The opportunity to compete for the #1 pharmacist in Duty Continent is near. Even if there is a monster like Xiao Yan, they must fight for it. Now that you're ready, let's get started. Medicine Valley is a forbidden place in our medicine family. Unless this kind of grand ceremony, it will not start to the outside world. There are 10 Juling peaks in the Medicine Valley. I wish you good luck. The third round of the Medicine Clan Festival, the ratio of alchemy, start. Yao Xuanyi finished speaking. The whole body was flickering with an incomparably holy aura, and suddenly a golden scroll emerged from the palm of the hand, and suddenly threw it towards the sky. The rich and fragrant antique green fragrant light door emerges slightly. Through the gate of light, it is the Valley of Medicine, which is also the last link in this Medicine Clan Festival. Of course, it is also the most exciting link. After all, in the Valley of Medicine, whether it is killing the fallen or the fortune of chance, I am afraid that you need yourself. Went for it. Continuing from the previous episode 2073. The latest website, Inside the Medicine Valley. It is said to be a valley of medicine, but it is actually an endless vast area. The surrounding area is extremely irregular, and there are bursts of strange auras on it. If you look closely, it is obvious that some monsters remain, even in this area. On the top, a towering huge mountain range emerged. Obviously this mountain range is the real Medicine Valley. On the edge of this area, there are 10 mysterious stone pillars entirely cast out of rich ancient power. They stand quietly, as if wrapped by some mysterious power. At that time, these mountain peaks and stone pillars were called Juling Terrace. As for what they are used for, I am afraid that it will be revealed soon. Wang buzzing. The quietness of the quiet plains and the towering mountains did not last long, and a rather harsh sound of breaking wind suddenly emerged from the sky, and suddenly black figures couldn't help but say that they just appeared directly facing the mountains. Scattered all over the place. Due to the strictness of the Yao family for the grand ceremony, there is no life-saving means for them in Yagyu. Here, everything can only rely on themselves. The refining pharmacist was obliterated due to lack of strength, etc. All of these things are not within the jurisdiction of the Yao family. The first pharmacist in the mainland selected in the Yao family grand ceremony has both civil and military skills, so this is not a family. The general alchemy game, but the real life and death arena, the life and death opportunities, all rely on their own good fortune. In the altar mountain, countless powerhouses stared at the huge crystal standing in midair, and every facet on the crystal reflected the traces of the contestants in the Medicine Valley. Unless there were some hidden areas, what they did, all of them will be exposed to the eyes of countless powerhouses, and this is also for the fairness and publicity of this competition, so that countless powerhouses are convinced. However, this approach has its advantages, and naturally it also has disadvantages. Regardless of the life and death of the contestants who enter the Medicine Valley, the elders in their respective sects will not be able to take action, which is still the case for hundreds of grand ceremonies. Inside the Valley of Medicine. What a rich wood attribute and energy of heaven and earth. If I can completely control the wood attribute here, plus my fire attribute, I am afraid that the combat effectiveness will soar. Standing in the sky and looking around, Xiao Yan suddenly smiled. The magnificence of this mountain range is obvious to all, and it is full of energy from heaven and earth. Obviously, it is the place where some precious medicinal materials grow. Exist. Humph. The fellow from the ancient race looked at Xiao Yan's appearance and couldn't help snorting coldly. After weighing it, he decided to collect the medicinal materials first. Anyway, there is a month, and some time to clean up Xiao Yan. Damn, this evil star. Let's go. After a while, some alchemists who had just entered the Medicine Valley looked at Xiao Yan's figure and couldn't help but ran away swearing. It seems that due to the influence of the first round, the second round, and the second round, the alchemists who participated in the last round have deliberately avoided me. In addition to the hostility of Shen Hongyanxuan and others, it seems that they can only temporarily avoid them, otherwise with them working together, I will also encounter a lot of trouble. Forget it. Let's go to the depths of the mountains first. With their intelligence, the depths of the mountains are the most dangerous, and they will definitely not enter rashly before they have collected the medicinal materials, and I can just try to search for the medicinal materials first. After Xiao Yan finished speaking, the explosive technique unfolded, the fiery arrogance surging all over his body. A radiant appeared in the sky, and flew directly towards the depths of the mountain range, but he never saw Ling Zixi along the way, led him pretty weird. In the Medicine Valley Mountains, there are some precious medicinal materials everywhere, and the medicinal materials needed for the quasi-sacred 8th grade prescription in Xiao Yan's hands are quite good. Fortunately, this is a real treasure, so it is also a good thing to collect it all. Has no small challenge. 3 days passed in a flash. After collecting for 3 days, I still have a weak understanding of the general situation of the Medicine Valley Mountains, but there are still as many as 4 kinds of medicinal materials needed to refine this quasi-sacred rank 8 medicine prescription. Blood Fang Demon Fruit, Wan Marui. The next day, Xiao Yan sat safely on a rock and placed the collected medicinal materials and prescriptions in front of him, frowning. This mountain is indeed a real treasure hidden in the snow of the medicine family. In 3 days, as many as hundreds of medicinal materials were slowly found by Xiao Yan. Now there are only 4 medicinal materials left, and these 4 medicinal materials are all strong. Things such as rare treasures, and Xiao Yan now does not have any information about the medicinal materials, it can only stagnate for a while. Wang buzzing. Just as Xiao Yan was frowning, the ground around the rocks in front of him suddenly trembled. Trees swayed continuously, leaves slowly drifted down, and some stones and dust continued to emerge on the ground. A fierce, suffocating aura emerged. Oops, I forgot that this place is deep in the mountains. Some powerful monsters are extremely tired of life. They like to encircle their own territory. Now, I am afraid that I have strayed into the territory of some kind of monster. Xiao Yan took the herbs and the prescription, firmly remembered the remaining 4 herbs, released his soul power, and slowly watched the changes in front of him. At this moment, there was no hope of escaping, so he could only prepare challenge. Dong dong dong. After the blink of an eye, circles of green mist emerged from the depths of the mountain range, the void in the distance became distorted, and a terrifying breath was released, accompanied by a refreshing touch-cool fragrance. This is a wood puppet demon? Xiao Yan raised his head and saw that in the depths surrounded by fog, an ancient tree in the sky with a height of 100 meters was slowly moving and approaching Xiao Yan. There was an incomparably majestic and violent aura, and the ancient tree had no feet. It was exactly the same as the trees in the mountains, but it moved freely on the ground. Looking down the ancient tree in the sky, a small creature like a human suddenly stood slowly among the dense branches and leaves of the ancient tree, and a pair of eyes as deep as a stone stared at Xiao Yan. Good guy, I'm lucky. I just met the wood puppet demon just after entering the Medicine Valley. The wood puppet demon is one of the few terrifying beasts in the Medicine Valley. It has absorbed countless rich wood-type energy, and it has slowly become comparable to some wood-type creatures. Outside the altar mountain, old monster Shen Shi and Yan Yan old ancestor Yun said with a slow smile, as if he had reached some consensus. A creature of this level, relying on Xiao Yan's Qixing fighting immortal consummate strength, might be extremely difficult to deal with, and would become gloating for a while. Wood-type creature. It's still too small compared to the wood elves, but the rarity of the 5-element elves is comparable to that of holy flames. Speaking of which, I haven't seen Xiao Yi for a long time. Zuner also suddenly thought of something. It seemed that the white and tender little guy beside Xiao Yan had not seen for a long time, but after Shun Qi, it was too late to think about it. Cast your beautiful eyes on the crystal prism. Full book. Continuing from the previous episode 2074. The latest website, my dear, what are you really thinking about? In this case, the journey of the medicine family is too exciting for me. Seeing this, Xiao Yan did not have any fear, but instead, in the sea of fighting qi in his body, the wood-type bucket core boiled violently, and a rather greedy wave swept out. After the baptism of the original star continent, Xiao Yan has learned a lot about the wood attribute, but there is still one last shackle. Once he breaks through this shackle, Xiao Yan will truly control the second attribute. Wood property. Being able to use the power of the wood attribute and truly controlling the energy of the wood attribute are two different things. Xiao Yan believes that his combat power will soar and reach a whole new level. According to Xiao Yan's investigation, the strength of the wooden puppet demon in front of him has already entered the 8th rank immortal rank for a long time. Its strength is undeniably tyrannical. Gotta get hot. This guy, whatever he says, he has to get it. Hey! When Xiao Yan looked like this, the wooden puppet demon standing on the ancient tree in the sky slowly swayed and controlled, and the ancient tree suddenly spread out, and there was a sense of distortion. After a few breaths, the ancient pieces of yellowed leaves on the tree fell off easily, and at the same time, with a majestic energy, they stabbed at Xiao Yan at an angle like a poisonous snake. The sky is full of fallen leaves and the wind is killing them. At first glance, there is a kind of stinger that will be stabbed into a hornet's nest, and the scalp is numb. Dragon God Transformation. First transformation. Shabu Shabu. Xiao Yan's eyes flashed brightly, and he let out a low roar. His body and bloodlines became strange, and even the terrifying offensive of those fallen leaves was easily resisted by Xiao Yan's skin, like a breeze blowing. It did not cause any impact on Xiao Yan's body. Death. Seeing Xiao Yan's actions, the wooden puppet demon seemed to be provoked. The magic sound is harsh, making people feel dazed by it. However, I have to say that the appearance of this so-called wooden puppet demon is also extremely mysterious. The overall size is the same as that of Xiao Yan, but there is no skin or flesh on the whole body. Is it a wooden man composed purely of wooden blocks? But at the chest of the wooden puppet demon, a green liquid flickered slightly, which seemed to form the heart of the wooden man, sending a steady stream of power to it. Pick me up. Xiaoyan touched the ground with his forefoot, his speed skyrocketed, and he went straight towards the ancient tree with the momentum of thunder and lightning, and even the solid ground below was kicked by Xiaoyan like this. A pit emerges. Crack! Feeling Xiaoyan's rude provocation, the ancient tree was like a most loyal servant. Countless branches fell off from the tree body, forming a roaring eagle soul shadow with eyes of the eagle soul. Extremely violent, exuding a sense of chill, staring closely at Xiaoyan. No phase slash. Feeling the shortness of the ancient tree, Xiaoyan couldn't help but say that when the ancient ruler was taken off, an invisible energy ripple was released and directly hit the eagle soul in the sky, but this attack was stronger than any previous attack. Be weak. Bumble. The feathers on the eagle soul's body stood upright, and the scarlet eagle mouth opened immediately, and the big mouth of the blood basin directly bit at Xiaoyan's thin body. Tear it. The two majestic attacks came into contact slowly, but Xiaoyan's calmness disappeared in an instant, and a trace of awe-inspiring emerged, watching his attack slowly fall into the downwind, and immediately lost his voice. How is it possible? As soon as the words fell, the eagle soul instantly shredded Xiaoyan's attack, and one after another extremely violent energy fluctuations swept away, and immediately waved the huge eagle wings, as if mocking Xiaoyan's self-control, directly facing Xiaoyan's heart, biting away, trying to end Xiaoyan's life with one blow. Bang bang bang. At the same time, the outside world could only see a majestic force venting out from the place where the two were fighting, and the crystal prism that recorded Xiaoyan's picture immediately turned black and white. What's going on? Xiaoyan could almost be said to be the real dark horse of this grand ceremony. This action undoubtedly brought countless dissatisfied voices. He was trapped by the wood puppet demon, and the transmission of the picture was torn apart by the wood puppet demon. We can't intervene. I'm afraid we can only see his own. Yao Xuanyi had nothing to do about it. He could only say helplessly, but even he could not have imagined that Xiaoyan's combat power was so weak. After all, the crystal prism in front of him was constructed by the power of space, and now there is no trace of Xiaoyan, and they have no way to intervene. Everything can only rely on him. Brother Xiaoyan is really smart. Zuner already knew Xiaoyan's intentions like a prophet. After all, the power of Wuxiang Slash was more than 10 times weaker than usual. He must have noticed that he was being watched, so he had this scene. At the same time, in the Medicine Valley Mountains. Hey, did you feel comfortable playing? Feeling the faint trace of the power of the soul, Xiaoyan also understood that his surveillance had been interrupted, so he didn't run away. Out. Peefed. With a sound, another phaseless slash shot out, and the mighty eagle soul shattered without any struggle, and dissipated into a bubble. And you, don't try to run. Spirit-devouring blood monument. In the blink of an eye, blood monuments containing extremely tyrannical pressure fell from the sky, completely suppressing the ancient tree and making it immobile. Wood puppet demon, will you come out by yourself or will I invite you out? After doing all this, Xiaoyan hovered around the ancient tree, smiling and staring at a mysterious figure inside the ancient tree. Judging from the fight just now, it seems that the wooden puppet demon is not as violent as the legend, but has a hint of weakness? But even so, Xiaoyan did not act rashly. After all, the wood puppet demon is a creature that absorbs countless wood attribute energies. In addition to some dangerous auras around here, if you push it in a hurry, I am afraid that even Xiaoyan will be able to. Broken bones. You humans are a bunch of utter hypocrites. Take my essence 1,000 years ago, this time again. If it weren't for this demon, the spiritual source would be damaged, and you must have come and gone. The wooden puppet demon's voice was unusually harsh, and it was full of anger. The cold ice cave. In this case, why don't we take a step back? Maybe we can make a deal. I will help you solve the current predicament, restore your vitality, help you ascend to the demon world, and you will give me the power of your original body. How? Xiaoyan was unmoved, and said lightly, not that Xiaoyan was afraid of this guy, but that Xiaoyan knew too little about the information about the Yagyu mountain range, and the transaction with this guy could be considered right. Own benefit. What? Who are you? Hearing Xiaoyan's voice, a wooden puppet demon appeared directly in front of Xiaoyan, A look of consternation appeared on the stiff wooden face, and his empty pupils stared at Xiao Yan. I'm just a human who has been to the demon world by chance. By the way, the demon world is now reunited. Where should it be the best place to live for the spirits like you? Xiao Yan shook his head slowly, but the faint voice was fatal to the wooden puppet demon. Attractive,